And you can see, right, that the authors, talk to many teams, saw many teams, right? And this time to achieve is not so big, right? So you can achieve this fluency at focus value zone, in 2-6 months, right? But still strangely, that only 45% of team reach this phase, right? They are fluent in the zone. So half somehow drops out. So this is the easier zone to master. Now, in the previous zone, 1-star zone, focus on value. I mean, the team works, according to priorities of business by owner. But that doesn't mean that they deliver it, right, in somehow sustainable way. So they deliver it when they can. Huh? And this is natural, so it's more or less unreliable. So business owner, can change the priorities, but he's not sure, when it will be implemented, but maybe not next week, right? As team promises. This is the zone when we talk about delivering. So 2-star zone, deliver value, right? So here, team already can deliver on will when they want, not when they can, And this zone is about technical skills, technical practices. I mentioned in the very beginning, right? So many teams already using it, right? Naturally. And we are talking mainly, extreme programming practices, and some additional ones. Yeah, I already mentioned, like continuous integration, TDD, refactoring, simple design. You will also in this zone you will see like DevOps ideas, right? Maybe continuous delivery pipelines already, right? So this is the zone, especially. I'm talking mainly, about the projects, startups, when you need to create something, based on software, right? And technical practices are very important, right? If you don't follow them, then eventually, you're slower, and defect work. And this is a zone, actually, which exhibits. So if the team is fluent at this, level, deliver value level, so everybody will see that the productivity is higher, right? And the defect rates are lower. But you can also see that it takes much more time to achieve this fluency here, right? It's again very dependent on the team, right? On the efficiency, of each of developer, how is acquainted, with the technical practices, and the achievement rates is already even smaller, right? So only 1/3 of teams manage to be fluent at this level. So this is probably the level, everybody talks in Agile community, even without maybe knowing these levels, right? So you deliver, quality is good, right? And you deliver what you are asked for. One thing with this model, so it assumes, that if you are fluent at the higher level, let's say 2-star level, this also means that you are fluent in the level below, 1-star level, right? So when we go, deeper a bit or higher, with more stars, so you already need to assume, that whatever has been talked, in previous levels, so you need to already to know them, and to be fluent in them if you want to be fluent, on higher level. Now, so if the team is fluent at second zone, deliver value, 2 stars. So they are capable of delivering what they are asked for. But as we already found out earlier, this doesn't mean that they create useful stuff. They build stuff, build it well, but it might be not useful. Now, so this is the zone when we start talking about better, or even like they say, excellent product decisions, right? So when we already somehow know how to choose or increase chance that the product we are building will be successful. There is a demand for it, right? Customer wants it. You will get the business value behind it. And this zone, heavily relies on lean startup, the lean startup method. It's also nothing new here, right? but I'm just trying to combine everything together, right? You will also, and we will discuss lean startup a bit more, right? Because this is the method which actually helps you to fail fast, but also to know what to do next. And I mean, there are also, like, as you see, I mean, we discussed from the very beginning. So everybody is using, a mix of methodologies, right? So it's never about one method here, right? So there are always many supplementary methods which help you, right? Some include like design thinking, or because at this zone, I mean, we're already talking about really empowered organization, transparent organization. Then you might look beyond budgeting as well. Right? So, but still, today, I mean, we will more discuss the lean startup. So, and this level, important point, right? So, this is the level when software engineers, developers, start talking product language. And they start get very much interested, if the features they are doing are useful. If you look at the achievement, rate, you see not so promising numbers, right? 5 years. An achievement rate is 5%. So very seldom teams reach this level. Because this is the level already much harder, right? So when we talk about the focus value, deliver value, right? So it more or less requires team changes. How you organize teamwork within a team. At this level, you see company delegates business decisions to the team. So this means, the team actually is empowered to make business decisions. And this also means that the business know-how needs to be embedded into the team. This also means that there needs to be mutual trust between the team and the company. Because you need to let it go somehow, right? But if you do this, I mean, we will discuss it later as well, but just, so if the team takes care about business decision, right? They know where to go, they track their progress, they make decisions. What it gives, it also like increased decision making. So all of a sudden you don't need, to go to another department, to go to their boss or the boss of your boss, to be allowed to do something. Right? It also eliminates all kinds of handoffs, when somebody, does something, then gives to other teams, Because here you have everything what you need in the team, right? It's complicated, right? But now look, there is only also one more zone, optimized for systems. But it's, I mean, recently actually, first we started, I told you that James Shaw and Diana Ryerson, so like rebuilt the model a bit, or made an uplift probably of the model this year, right? And they renamed it Optimized for Systems for strengthening, right? But anyway, nothing much changed, right? So this is the zone, very experimental. It's like, I don't know, some cutting edge, nobody knows for sure stuff, right? Teams are experimenting, and it's more or less like something, where you go after you're fluent in this optimized value zone, right? But it's nothing, there are no methods. So we don't focus on it for now. So what we will do, so this is the Agile fluency model. Each, of higher levels has their own benefits, but also it has, their own like investment needed. And what you need to decide actually, and it's not like, this is not something that you evaluate yourself where you stand for, but it's more like where you really want to be, right? And this can be different. It doesn't mean that always, 3 stars, is better. Especially like for a large organization, that would be very hard to reach anyway, right? So you could aim, I mean, you really need to know. But once you choose, at which level, how much, what benefits you need to reap, and at which level you are targeting, you need to start going for it from the very beginning. So it's not like, if you think that, hey, deliver value, this is where we want to be, right? So we want to deliver consistently, with quality, predictably, right? Then you need to go for it and not first start with focus on value and then deliver. This is because, as I said, all of this above include below, but you will reach them faster if you start immediately, from the level you want to be fluent in. So now, optimize value, and here we come to the lean startup method. And the lean startup method is meant actually for entrepreneurs, right? Startup guys. But Eric Ries, the author of the lean startup, so he actually says that entrepreneurs are everywhere. So you actually don't need to be in a startup, to be an entrepreneur. So he uses like a broader definition of entrepreneurs. So if you are on a mission to create a new product or service, and highly, in this, under conditions of extreme uncertainty, right? When you don't know actually, you can't predict too much, right? Then you are entrepreneur, because you need to create that, but you still don't know what. So you act like entrepreneur. So entrepreneurs can be not only like in small organizations, which are kickstarting, their business model, but also in big organizations. So when I say startup, it doesn't mean that real startup, though it's inclusive, right? But it can be anybody, who creating new products, who does something, which is extremely uncertain. So startups really, work under conditions of extreme uncertainty, right? And predictive planning, where you, long-term planning, detailed planning won't work here. I mean, extreme uncertainty doesn't sound like, a long-lived, stable business, where you can somehow predict what's going to happen, And therefore, according to the lean startup, the business value behind any feature, any idea, is a hypothesis. Yes, it's a hypothesis. So product managers do hypothesis, right? So what does it mean? So it means that you can implement the feature, you can expect the business value behind it, but there is no guarantee, that the customers will understand your feature. There is no guarantee they even like it. And there is no guarantee that you will definitely reap that business value you expected. And here, dear developers, this is a wake-up call for us. So this means, if we keep doing what I'm being told to, build whatever we're being asking for, it doesn't matter, right? It could be all fake, right? So it appears all of a sudden, right, that product managers actually don't know for sure, what they are doing, right? So, we develop software, using all these, solid principles, right? We create nice architectures. We write unit tests. We are so proud of the things we build. And now it appears, it could be just fake. As a developer, I would get worried now. And I would run to check, how are my last features, which I implement are doing, right? Maybe they are just waste. So, and imagine the point, that this is just a hypothesis. So actually, our roadmaps are hypotheses. So which means, as a colleague said, right?
Tell me when can I challenge you?
Yeah, always.
So right now?
Yes, of course. Huh?
This is a blasphemy. Well, why? The product managers never do a hypothesis. As you know, a good product manager spends half of his time with clients, whatever it means.
Mm-hmm.
Who does a market research?
Yes.
Do programmers do the market research? No. It's product management, marketing department, and sales. So the guys who are exposed to the market do the market research. That's one thing. Another thing, product managers never define the roadmap. The roadmap, they suggest candidates, and the board on top decides what are the priorities. That's another point. And yet another point is, how can developers estimate which feature will bring how much money?
No, I'm not talking about this now.
No.
Huh?
Listen, every business is always about generating money. Every single effort, every single minute of developer has to be uplinked through the stories into the epics, from the epics into the strategic decisions in the company, and the strategic decisions are decided.
Well,
on
this
the
is, yeah,
board.
but this can be different, right? But I understand what you're saying. So I'm not saying, that each product decision is bad somehow, right? It's just that it still needs, and you will see later, right? So you can't take it for granted. It's only, and there definitely are better product managers and not so bad. Huh? But the point is, if developers at all see whether the product decisions which had been made in the past, right? Were they successful or not? Right? And what the lean startup says, right? So the product ideas are hypotheses, and it doesn't matter whether it's from product management or for some higher, strategic board or whatever, right? It's still some kind of guess, right? And that guess, according to the lean startup hypothesis, needs to be proven, validated, scientifically. So we are not talking that somebody feels this feature is going to work, right? Or will work. But we need to see, whether it actually, works. And here, the lean startup, what it says, how do you validate, the idea? And it offers like this build, measure, learn feedback loop. And I'm sure that some of you also already are using some part of it, right? So it's, as I said, it's not a rocket science, right? But I'm sure that many don't do or do it differently and not look so scientifically at this. So according to the lean startup, so there is a hypothesis, right? There's some business value behind. But you don't know until you try. So what is said, and you heard about, of course, MVP, so probably everybody's doing some kind of MVPs, right, for features. Huh? Minimal. Also, yes, I agree. Yeah, also. But now we just take one hypothesis, right? And we need to validate it, whether it's true or not. So the lean startup gives this build, measure, learn feedback loop, right? Where the ideas are being implemented, right? Run as experiment, usually, right? You need simply to somehow to get users use it, right? And then measure their reaction to get validated learning. So it's not like a feeling, but you need to see somehow in data. Huh? Do people want this feature? Do it use it? Does it increase your, your revenues, user engagement, whatever. But whatever you're after for, you need to validate. Did you get it or not, right? And after you get this validated learning, then you need to decide. Should we do more of it, like continue with this feature, such, for further optimization of the business value, or it doesn't work? Yeah, we tried, customer doesn't care, right? Business value is not here, or maybe there is even negative effect to it, right? Then we probably need to pivot. Pivot means, change direction, right? To rethink, maybe we need to do something else, or maybe the idea is wrong. So measuring is a very important part here because it really reveals, if we're making progress. So we think this feature gonna work, but we don't know until we really try it, measure it, and then we see whether it works or not. Right? So measuring is really, the way of tracking progress, business value, not technology, not story points. And the whole idea here, is not to somehow try to optimize one part of it, right? Developers build a better MVP, right? Or we need to learn more, to analyze more. But the idea is really to minimize the total time through the loop. So actually, if you have an idea, you need to as quick as possible with least resources, to find out, is this idea good? Is it working or not? Right? So as fast as you can come, then you immediately can, try those ideas and get this validated learning, right? And then you see what works, what doesn't, as quickly as possible. In this way, you can iterate, right? And you can taste. So actually, the lean startup, I'm presenting a simplified version of it, right? So lean startup actually, applies the scientific approach to the whole startup idea, right? When you take the most critical ideas at all, for your startup, right? Is it valid? Is the customer really, is there a demand? Because sometimes you don't even know your customer yet, and you are trying to build a product for it. You don't know where the demand is there, right? So lean startup offers methods like this, right? And I'm sure that some of you definitely use already A/B testing as well. So, but the idea here is really, right, not to use some political stuff, right, that my idea is better than yours, right? But really, if there is an idea, we expect some business, we need to know what business potential, what do you expect? What is the business value behind it? How can we measure it, right? And how can we try it and really understand that it really, brings something? And developers here play really very, very crucial role. Because developers are those guys who can dramatically minimize the total time through the loop, even if they don't know it. So, and we're talking, remember, about this optimized value level, right? When we have business knowledge, right? And how it doesn't mean that every developer is a superstar, of product management, right? But it means that there are team members, there who understand the business, right? And it's very good when developers, as they start talking product language. So they do not plan only in terms of technology. Oh, I need to use that. Oh, this is cool. I need to write more tests. Huh? But he starts thinking, from product. And he can talk to these product people. You don't need a proxy which somehow translates to developers, the idea into tasks, and then developers do that, right? It's much faster, right? Because if you have such a team, when developers understand product, you save so much time. You save so much time for detailed documentation specifications. And you save so much time that developers, fail to interpret. Because you cannot, detailedly describe each feature, how it works, right? So sometimes you need to interpret, side effects or some, not the critical path, not the main functionality, but, how to incorporate, let's say, this feature into the whole, right? And there are huge savings when developers understand, They just get the idea, oh, I know what we are gonna do here, right? And he just goes and does it, right? And gives you results. And also, developers also need to ask, what is the business value behind, right? Because at daily base, he needs to know where to focus his priorities, right? Because otherwise, if he is not aware of this business value, he will focus on what? On clean code, refactoring, looking nice. Yeah? But is this helping, especially giving, that he's building a prototype for hypothesis, right? So he can build very nice things, and then he probably will have to throw it away. Or it stays there, but it's not useful. Huh? Why I tell why the business value to know it? Because developers are the ones who add the tracking. So they need to know whether they will be capable of tracking it, right? Because usually, because usually you cannot drive business if you don't have, don't gauge what your customer is doing. Let's say if you take a website, right? So you need to know if you have electronic shop, right? E-shop. So you need to know, if people, in what products are interested, what they click, what they book, what they don't book as well, right? So you need all this tracking to drive your decisions, to drive your product, right? And if there is no tracking, like for example, right, developer implements a feature, he tries, and then he forgets, or nobody thinks that, hey, there's tracking missing. And then we run this feature, but there is no data. So actually the loop, and then we found, oh, we don't have the data. Oh, so you need to add it and then run again. Huh? And probably one of the biggest, shortcuts or cut corners the developers can do is really to look at this, as a hypothesis, because they are discussing it, right? It's not for sure that it will work out, right? Does it really make sense to make like a full-blown solution for it, very nice, so that I'm comfortable and say, I can show to my friends and say, this is how I build it, I'm proud of it? If it's gonna be thrown away, not much comfort. At least I don't feel, I'm not comforted, right? To build something good and then throw away as useless. So here again, developers, always find corners, how to do the same stuff, I don't know, in 3 weeks or in 3 days. Huh? So here, it's up to them. They know it's hypothesis. We're still testing. It's not clear whether is the solution gonna stay. So we need to find what is the easiest, this MVP from the technical side, right? That we could throw it, try, and then decide. Is it good? Should it stay, or should we throw away? Because if we throw away, then we save so much time and effort, for something new, for trying another idea. And one, again, very important, thing that developers, usually they need to monitor, how experiment is going on. Why? Because it could be, we launched it and we're waiting for the data, but then you check the data and it somehow, looks very strange. It could be there is some bug, right? Huh? If he notices early fix, again, the time until we get validated learning will be nearer, than further. So developers, really, become much more significantly, productive when they think as entrepreneurs. Yes, we can optimize, architectural things. Yes, it's very important, to stay at the edge and to choose the right decisions, right? It's very important, all these technical practices. But they are nothing if you throw them away. If whatever you produce, then it's going away, right? So if product decisions are bad, we are useless. And now we come, to this really like shifting Agile to an here, right? So we're talking that mainstream Agile is important. It makes us capable, to deliver product. But it's, things like lean startup, which help us to build good product, right? And this build, learn, build, measure, learn feedback loop is really essential here. Because this is how you get this validated learning. And be aware of fake metrics as well. Because, again, you can choose some metrics which does not lead to sustainable business. Huh? So you need to know that this 3-star zone requires really huge, investment, right? And culture change. It's not easy. And it will not go overnight. Huh? And there are as well, as you mentioned, right? So there are some other product discovery techniques, right? How do you, choose these ideas, right? Talking to customer, right? Maybe it could even not involve, software solution. Maybe, just do some mock-up, and show it to customer, right? Like the Dropbox guy, right? So he simply made a video and showed it to a customer how it should work. And find out, whether people would be interested, to pay for it. MVP. So when I look, like from a software engineer perspective, right? So this is what I see, right? So it's like Dakar Rally, right? We need, good engine, right? We need all the critical mechanism working very good, right? But probably as a developer, I shouldn't care, about this dust on my car, right? I should not get out the car and clean each time it gets a bit dirty. What's important here, can we reach that goal first? Because actually startup, if we talk about startup, the last, even if it finishes the race, gets nothing, right? And if you want to be the first, and if you, thinking really like to conquering the market, right? Becoming a market leader, actually you have no chance. Because if you are slower, right? If you just, keep delivering, then another startup will appear. And it will definitely take, eat up your share, market share, and maybe it will take out of business. So developers, please think, right? Think what you're doing right now. Do you see the business value behind? Do you, how many of these features we build, really make sense? So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
You didn't say any single good thing about product management.
Oh, yeah. Here I get, well, there's one. Yes, yes, yes. So it's not like product managers are bad, right? It's just that their work is very tough. It's really tough to make good product decisions, right? But what I see, so I know very good product managers as well, right? But I know very many, not the product manager, but project managers, who are fond of planning, building whatever, being told to. And that I see waste of lots of resources, right? And this is the way simply, when the team really thinks, what they are doing, is there any value in this? Then they are much more aligned and very much more likely not to do things which don't bring them to that goal, right? So product managers, I really have a great respect for product managers, right? But it's simply, developers usually take it for granted. And they don't care or care not enough, to see, is there any value behind, right? Because they would notice, if they get this feedback, they would notice, hey, we've built 10 features and only 9 of them somehow work. Because we know that many ideas fail. And many experiments actually more likely to fail and fail much more frequently or give simply neutral results than there is a success. And if you know this, then you somehow, it rings the bell, right? What the hell, right? I'm building, I'm putting so much effort, and then it appears and only, 1 out of 9 features really works. Huh? Which is which is good. Now you're here, right? I'm talking. Yes?
Should you add developer much more early in the process in deciding which features are going to be needed? Because developers can help the clients think of more features and give them better ideas of which features are possible.
Again, right? So the question is, should we, include developers earlier, like in the planning process, which features we know we're gonna build? For sure. But again, here, it really depends on the maturity of developer. Can he speak already the product language? Or does he simply look on the, you tell him and he says, oh, I can build it this way, I need this probably technology. Oh, this is impossible because, there is a technology. But what developers should think first, they're about opportunity. Hey, there is an opportunity. How can I grab it? How can I enable it? And this takes time. So if your developers are not prepared for it right now, but at least they should get feedback on how features perform, right? They need to start, because they prioritize their work according to technological aspects and not for your business ideas, right? If they don't know the business impact.
Yeah, therefore you need to involve developers early in the decision.
Definitely, yeah.
And the earlier you interact them, the more faster they develop the language.
True, yes. This actually, yes. If product managers, discuss, why we're building this thing, what do we expect, then the developers are much more likely to grab this idea and somehow start, learning. I'm not just doing, technological stuff, but hey, I'm building, eShop here, I want to sell more. I want to expand, I don't know, any idea. Huh? But yes, and this is again transparent. But this is a bit sometimes uncomfortable, for product managers because all of a sudden they are not God anymore, and it appears that they make mistakes. And this is not every, product manager, is comfortable with it, right?
But in Agile teams, product manager is never a god. It's a part of a team on one hand. Another thing is, I just have a question to you. If a developer is more involved in the process from the beginning, so he feels more ownership
Yeah.
of the features, is he more productive? That's one question. And second question, if he is more productive, is he keen to do also unit tests and the test-driven development afterwards? Because developing new features is fun.
That's very good. Yeah. And whenever we talk about unit tests, I would ask, what's the idea here? Why do we write unit tests? To manage risk, to be able to quickly change something and know that everything's still working. But this is again an investment, right, which you make, because if you write lots of useless tests, you will simply have to maintain them. And if you write 100% of coverage, all the tests, but then it will get you slower later, right? So then you need to do all this balance, right? Really, does it make sense to write a unit test? If this is a critical part, probably yes. If it's just like, I don't know, something not so critical, then developer needs to think. And to think also not blindly whether he writes a unit test, maybe there's a different test. Maybe instead he adds a monitoring of production system for that particular KPI or whatever, right? So he needs to think.
I don't write unit tests to have test problems. I write unit tests to think about the problem. And then afterwards, I write code to describe the problem.
Could be a way, right? There are many ways. I think it's important, really to see, simply to see value in anything we do, right? We are not doing because some book wrote about it. Huh? Is it helping us, right, to make better products? Are we faster in this loop, right? Are we faster than our competitors? This is the question, right? And developers, they should behave like entrepreneurs, right? Because then also, and then actually they appreciate it, right? Then all of a sudden they see, that they actually, what impact is there? And if there is no impact, then why, right? And then next time you have a discussion about product, they already have like quite a history, track record of these problems, and then they can even, suggest new problems. And this is actually what's happening in our company. It really took a lot of time. And again, talking about this like efficiency, at 3-star level, right? So if you grow, you add new people. It's never like, you reach and that's it, right? It's always like a struggle. You always need to keep learning, right? What do you fast? How can you really have this loop, especially in the startup? Because otherwise, we'll just end up, building some stuff. Is it useful? If not, then I always say, it's better to go on vacation, and do nothing instead of like, wasting our time on these useless features, right? So let's make it somehow useful.
Yeah, but when you have something useful, you're in a danger of accumulating technical debt really fast.
Again, this is what, so zone 2, deliver value, extreme practices, right? Of course, if you are in a longer term project, then you have to have like the critical system, technology systems, right? Engine, steering wheel, suspension, right? Working flawlessly, right? Because if they will break, you won't move. So, and this is the developers, right? So developers need to take care about technical debt to keep it at bay, right? And not, because it's so, as I say, you can always clean the car 10 times a day, but does it make sense? Right? And the same with technical debt. So when we run an experiment, we can do hacks, because this is like we want to test the idea, right? So we can do hack. But if the experiment is to throw away, then you just throw away hack, right? But if it's here to stay and you know that you're going to build something more on it, then it's time not to forget, right? That now he needs to refactor and somehow.
There's a risk of clashing product management.
We're on the same boat, right? We're on the same boat. Product managers won't be happy, when after half a year they say, hey, please build this, and then you say, no, I can't. Because, we have so much debt, or we try to build it, and we go to phase 1. When we try to build it, try to ship it, but then there are bugs, something is breaking. Product managers want the same thing, right? They want fast product delivery, right? Fast, iterating fast. And this is our responsibility, developers, to make it happen. We need to keep technical debt, at bay. And not to focus on cleaning here, but really, in the critical zones, or I don't know, where the most bugs happens, or where, you want to implement feature and you see that it's somehow taking too long, right? Or nobody understands this place anymore. Then it's a good candidate, right? But if you refactor something which is not used or seldom used, then probably, then it's a waste of time. And then actually, we are increasing this time through the loop, right? Which goes against developers, which goes against product, which goes against company, goes against everybody. So why should we do it?
And I think that's especially is the reason why in enterprise organizations should directly aim for phase
For big ones, that's very hard.
Yeah, it's very hard.
I'm not sure. I'm not so. So the office, I think it's a dream, right? You can't.
It's not a dream. If you don't do it, you're building applications and
Sometimes, there is lots of inertia, right? But I can't see how like very huge organization can build into this model. Some department, which creates new services, yes. And this is what actually this is doing, right? So nobody knows this fate of Nokia, right? When you are big and you think, hey, you are safe, right? And all of a sudden, you miss, you miss these guys, right?
if you stay in phase one, you are piling up technical debt and nobody knows what he's doing, just deploying shit. And at the end of the time, 5 years later, 10 years later,
But still, I mean, you need to lose why. So for startups, so probably I would say definitely from these there, maybe won't get it, right? So we also didn't we are not like Home2Go is not really fluent, at this, right? But I see really that some teams, some people really get it, right? And especially it's hard, when we hire someone from outside who is not even used. Hey, this is technology, I care about it. Huh? You tell me what I do, and I care about technology. Huh? Then it is mind shifting, right? Yes, but then you need to work, and this is culture change as well, right? So it takes time. It's nothing, and that's why it's 1 to 5 years and achievement rate 5%. If it would be easy, everybody would do that. 5% for big organization, forget it. Okay, yeah, thank you very much.